Oh, hello there. Yes, well, I think it's official. I think as of yesterday, my cat is officially better. I just got that vibe from him. How can I tell? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's projection. Maybe it's anthropomorphism. Yeah, that idea that we just project our own thoughts and feelings onto other animals, and probably that's at work, partially at least. Except, of course, you do get to know them, don't you? Dog lovers are never accused of being that soppy about their dogs, or certainly, if they're not males. But for some reason, cat lovers, who are always regarded as left wing and fey, get accused of such things. I don't really know why. I just think it's a part of the sort of mammalian empathy. I think all mammals have that capacity to feel some level of, sympathy for others, because life is tough and we're all in it together, aren't we? Well, no, obviously. Lots of people don't actually manage that, because they are the types that will happily experiment on beagles by giving them 20 fags a day to see what the effects of 20 fags a day are on a beagle, and probably a bad cough, if nothing else. And they are also the sorts of people that don't really mind starving children to death for the sake of a beachfront property somewhere. They're often linked. Anyway, in terms of such mindsets, we did have fine examples of people who were stuck in very, very nasty ways of thinking. We had Nigel Farage and the Reform Party who were trumpeting their Robin Hood idea. Yeah, Robin Hood. Not necessarily the best analogy, I might suggest, because Robin Hood, of course, was a metaphor for English resistance to evil lords that came over here and ruled over us. So when you're talking about such things in terms of non-dom status, it's not necessarily the best metaphor, but that's just me knowing things about history, isn't it? Anyway, a cunning plan that basically non-doms will be attracted here, because if they bung them £250,000, then that money will be ring-fenced to go to the poor. Yes. So if you are poor, right, you can clutch your little cap and go, oh, thank you, sir, thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Which is intrinsically why I hate the idea on any basic level, because I think it's designed to make us all feel that we owe the rich something, and of course we really don't. But it's that mindset whereby you get locked into this kind of Tory idea that the only people that actually do anything in terms of the economy are the very wealthy. Anyway, it didn't take very long before this brilliant idea was basically shot down in flames by a number of people, certainly brighter people than me. Yeah, I know that's not hard. We have the tax policy associates who basically say, well, it's going to cost 34 billion quid, because the first thing that will happen is that everybody who is currently a non-dom here, who is paying tax already, will opt into the scheme. And Zia Youssef at the weekend wasn't able to answer whether or not that might not be the case. But we know with tax loopholes that the first thing that happens is that everyone leaps through the loophole. The other problem with it is that, it's not actually about wealth generators or skilled people or anything else. Those people that might well come here as skilled something or other, IT or whatever it might be, on £100,000 a year, can't afford anything like this. So it does nothing for them. It does nothing for attracting people. The workers, thank you, sir, the workers that actually do the work. No. Nothing about that. It's simply a bung to the uber wealthy, because ultimately the bung to the uber wealthy is what obviously that has kept the economy going for the last 45 years. I mean, prior to that, it was the working classes that did everything. But for the last 45 years, since Margaret Thatcher unfortunately read a bit more economics than she should have done, then we've all had to believe, along with the Conservative Party and now Reform, that it's only the rich that create wealth, which is, of course, a farcical notion if anybody understands anything about economic activity. It's not a kind of 101, but it might be a 102, that particular one. Yeah. So that got me thinking too, just that sort of reformist style mindset, and the way that, despite the fact that the economics that they espouse have made everything really rubbish for the last 45 years, they can't quite understand it, and yet they reserve the right to moan about it. And archetypally, we had at the weekend Matt Goodwin, who was complaining about going to London and sitting on a privatised train, which apparently was really expensive and a bit rubbish. which I don't think's news to anybody, because after all, such things are a fundamentally bad idea. Water, rail, bus are always, those things are a bad idea, which we all know. But of course, I don't think Matt and Nigel really want to accept that, because something, the market. Yes. He was also complaining, broadly speaking, about the fact that London has an ethnic mix. At one point he actually sort of like says about somebody that can't speak English so good. And I'm sort of thinking to myself, yeah, I think there are an awful lot of reform voters that can't speak English or certainly write it very good. And apparently, yes, it was also expensive. But again, that is market economics for you, isn't it? If it's a really expensive place to live, anywhere, think real estate properties in Tokyo, think any capital city ever, anywhere, ever, in terms of what the prices for things are. That's what they are. And yet Matt, of course, is just moaning about it just generally, despite the fact that the economic reasons why these things are bad, according to him, doesn't possibly occur to him at all, right? The reason why things are expensive in London is the market, the economy, stupid. And the reason why things don't work is because of the marketisation that we've all, and the privatisation of things like public space that we've all had to go through, stupid. And of course, the people at the bottom that are paid the least can't afford to generate anything at a local economy, so it has to operate. He was complaining about, cab driver said, it's only the rich that can afford to go out at night. Yeah, because we're all been made poorer because of all the money that is basically just simply going to the non-doms. Still, that's just, me knowing things about economics in ways that obviously Matt, probably doesn't. Yeah, and if they don't like it here, they know where they can go. Except the problem is, of course, that they'll then demand a special bung to come back again. Yeah. Is anybody actually missing Charlie Mullins the plumber so far? Because I know that I'm not, even though he still crops up on my bleeding screens. Anyway, do have a glorious, glorious day. Enjoy the slightly cooler weather, which is nicer. Again, Pussycat's happier. And see what you can do about, I don't know, laughing farcically at anybody that thinks that you should doff your cap to them. No, it's not the way it works, I'm afraid. Certainly not with me, anyway. Ooh, bolshy. I'll be joining Palestine Action next. Ooh, I hope I get my membership card. Enjoy.